What I wish I knew at 20 is that the world does not wait for you to be ready. It does not wait for your confidence, your qualifications, or your clarity. It moves with or without you. And your choice is simple. Become the force that moves the world, or be moved by everyone else's decisions. No one tells you this at 20. They hand you a diploma, a debt, and a dream wrapped in uncertainty. They pat you on the back and say, go chase success. But they never teach you what success actually is. They tell you to follow your passion. But forget to mention passion means nothing without direction. That dreams without discipline are just decorations on a life that never gets lived. What I wish I knew at 20 is that fear is not the enemy. Comfort is. Fear sharpens your instincts. But comfort dulls your edge until you forget what you were even made of. Comfort lulls you into mediocrity disguised as safety, while fear, if you dare to dance with it, becomes the compass toward your destiny. At 20, I thought time was infinite, that I could waste hours, days, years, and still somehow have enough. But what I didn't know is that time is not a river you float down. It's a fire, and every moment you waste is wood you'll never get back. The clock doesn't care about your excuses, your heartbreak, or your second guessing. It burns whether you move or not, and the only way to honor the fire is to forge yourself inside it. I wish someone had looked me in the eye and said, you don't need to have it all figured out, but you do need to move, because clarity comes from motion, belief comes from repetition, and confidence is not a gift, it's a reward for doing the things scared, for showing up when your knees shake, for speaking when your voice cracks. The world rewards the brave, not the perfect. It doesn't care how many times you fell. It cares if you stood up one more time than you hit the ground. It doesn't care if you were qualified. It cares if you were willing to fail forward, willing to look foolish, willing to live like your life actually mattered. And it does. You matter more than you know. But here's the painful truth. So does your discipline. Because your life is not shaped by what you feel like doing. It's built by what you do, regardless of how you feel. You want freedom? Build systems. You want purpose? Build habits. You want greatness? Do the work when no one is watching. Because most of success happens in silence, in the early mornings, in the late nights, when you show up for yourself again and again and again, even when the results aren't visible yet. That's what I wish I knew at 20. That self-respect is built, not given. And it's built in the moments when quitting would be easier, when staying average would be more comfortable, when being liked by everyone means betraying yourself. You see, the world will try to shrink you. It will hand you a template and say, here, be this, play safe, fit in. Don't be too loud, too bold, too different. But what I wish I knew is that greatness begins the moment you stop asking for permission. That the people who build empires, physical, mental, spiritual, are not the ones who fit in. They are the ones who decided their life was worth more than approval. Approval is cheap. Conviction is priceless. And you will only find that conviction in solitude. Not the kind that isolates you, but the kind that reveals you. When you turn off the noise, silence the opinions, and ask yourself, deeply, brutally, who am I when no one is watching? Who are you without the filters, the followers, the performance? Because that is the version of you that needs to lead. That is the version that will survive failure, carry you through doubt, and walk into every storm with a spine made of fire. And I promise you, storms will come. Not once, not twice, over and over again. They will come disguised as heartbreak, as betrayal, as bankruptcy, as rejection. And they will ask you, do you still want this? Are you still the one? And you must answer, not with words, but with your fight. You answer by refusing to break, by bending, burning, bleeding, but never backing down. You answer by staring into the chaos and saying, I was built for this. I was born for this. What I wish I knew is that resilience is not about toughness. It's about return. It's not about how much you can take. It's about how quickly you can come back. Come back to your vision. Come back to your fire. Come back to your truth, even when the world forgets it. Because here's the secret. Most people quit long before the miracle. Not because they were weak, but because they stopped believing when it got dark. They stopped planting seeds because the harvest wasn't instant. But you must be relentless. You must understand that faith isn't a feeling. It's a decision to act, to rise, to build, even while bleeding, to trust the process, to surrender the timing, but never surrender the dream. Not now, not ever. What I wish I knew at 20 is that doubt wears 1,000 masks, and the loudest one often speaks in your own voice. It whispers that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not lucky enough. But what I've learned, what I would scream into the ears of my younger self, is this: the voice of doubt only grows louder the more you listen, but it dies the moment you act. Action is the antidote to fear. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be pretty, but it must be yours. You must move. You must begin. Because beginnings don't wait for permission. They wait for decision. Every empire started with a moment like this. One thought, one breath, one bold step into the unknown. Edison didn't wait for the perfect plan. He tried until the darkness gave way to light. Disney wasn't handed a kingdom. He built one from a mouse and a dream. Lincoln wasn't born with greatness. He forged it from suffering and purpose. And neither will you be handed anything. You must build it, brick by brick, belief by belief, hour by thankless hour. What I wish I knew is that you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards, and your standards are revealed in the details. How you speak to yourself when you fail, how you show up when no one claps, how you train when the finish line is invisible. You see, the elite, they don't chase motivation. They build systems that outlast emotion. They know the secret most never learn, that inspiration fades, but identity endures. When you become the kind of person who does hard things, not because it's glamorous, but because it's who you are, you shift from chasing success to attracting it. Because success isn't a prize, it's a mirror. It reflects back exactly what you've been in the dark. If you've been patient, it shows you growth. If you've been relentless, it shows you breakthrough. If you've been dishonest, it shows you consequences. If you've been afraid to commit, it shows you chaos. So look closely. Your results, good or bad, are your report card. They are not judgment. They are feedback. Use them. What I wish I knew at 20 is that clarity is not something you find. It's something you build. Everyone's waiting for a sign. But the truth is, the sign is your breath, your heartbeat, your desire. You were born with the signal. You just buried it under layers of noise, of other people's opinions, of rejection, of failure, of shame. But clarity returns when you get quiet. When you stop asking the world who you are and start asking yourself who you've always been. That child who once dreamed without limits, she's still in there. That young man who imagined building something beautiful from nothing, he never left. He's just waiting for you to believe again. And belief. Let me tell you something about belief. It's not passive. It's not soft. Belief is a weapon. Belief is armor. Belief is the force that carried Rosa Parks to the front of that bus, that lifted Mandela from a prison cell to a presidency, that built steel empires and broke down steel walls. What I wish I knew at 20 is that most people will misunderstand you. And that's okay. Your vision is yours. It wasn't meant to be understood by the crowd. The crowd didn't see what you saw at 3 a.m. The crowd didn't stay up building it in silence. The crowd didn't pay the price. So stop expecting them to value what they didn't invest in. You don't need their applause. You need your own conviction. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. Let them walk away. You were never building this for them anyway. You were building it because something inside you refused to die. Because something inside you whispered, I was meant for more, and you are. But let me tell you what I wish someone told me sooner. That more comes with a cost. that greatness taxes the soul, that you will lose friends, you will disappoint family, you will walk alone. But hear me, solitude is not loneliness, it's refinement. It's where the fire meets the forge. It's where the old you dies, and the real you, the rare, unbreakable, unstoppable version of you, finally begins to emerge. So if you're hurting, good. If you're struggling, good. If you're questioning everything, good. That means the process is working. That means the pain is shaping you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Prepare you for a life that most will never touch, because they gave up at the very point you are standing now. So don't you dare turn around. Don't you dare slow down. Don't you dare forget who you are. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to coast. You are here to lead, to rise, to build a life so aligned that the world cannot help but feel the quake of your existence. What I wish I knew at 20 is that the pain you avoid becomes the prison you live in, and the pain you confront becomes the power you draw from. Most people spend their lives running from failure, from heartbreak, from rejection, thinking if they just keep busy enough, entertained enough, distracted enough, they'll outrun the emptiness. But you can't outrun yourself. You can only face yourself. The day you stop running is the day you begin rising, because everything you seek, peace, power, lives on the other side of the discomfort you've been avoiding. So stop numbing it. Stop hiding from it. Let it speak. Let it teach. Let it burn away the layers that no longer serve you. Because every scar you carry is not a weakness. It's a signature. Proof that you endured. Proof that you are still here, still breathing, still building. What I wish I knew is that emotional strength is more valuable than any degree, any connection, any resume, any skill. Because in the moments that matter, when it all crumbles, when the plan falls apart, when no one shows up to cheer for you, it's not your talent that carries you. It's your emotional grit. It's how you speak to yourself when you're bleeding. It's how you hold the vision when no one else can see it. It's how you regulate your soul when chaos knocks on your door. And you will not learn that in a classroom. You will learn it in the storms, in the failures, in the nights that test everything you thought you believed in. And you must not run from those nights, because they are not setbacks. They are initiations. They are the fires that strip you of the inessential and forge the immortal within. What I wish I knew at 20 is that relationships will shape the trajectory of your life, more than talent ever will. Who you surround yourself with will either elevate your standard or erode your soul. There is no neutrality in energy. It either lifts or it drains. It either inspires or infects. You are not too young to set boundaries. You are not too kind to say no. You are not too afraid to walk alone. If walking with the wrong people means losing yourself, you must protect your energy with the same intensity that you protect your future, because they are the same thing. And I promise you, not everyone who starts with you will finish with you. And that's not betrayal. That's growth. Let them go. Let them leave. Let them misunderstand you. The ones meant for the next chapter will not require you to shrink in order to fit. What I wish I knew is that comparison is the enemy of destiny. You will never own your path if your eyes are always on someone else's. You will never hear your calling if you're tuned into the noise of envy. Social media will lie to you. It will show you the destination and hide the journey. It will show you the trophy and hide the scars. And if you're not careful, you'll trade your real life for someone else's highlight reel. But you are not behind. You are not late. You are on a path that was designed for your soul's curriculum, not your ego's calendar. So trust it, even when it feels slow. Especially when it feels slow, because slowness is not stagnation, it's depth. And depth builds roots, and roots are what hold you when the storms come. What I wish I knew at 20 is that you are always building something, always. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you are building a life. And if you don't choose what that life becomes, the world will choose for you. If you don't decide what matters, you will be sold someone else's definition of success. If you don't choose your values, you will be manipulated by someone else's agenda. So decide. Decide what your life will stand for. Decide who you will become when no one is watching. Decide what kind of impact your breath will leave behind, because one day it will be over, and all the things you were afraid to try, all the love you held back, all the dreams you shelved for later, will echo louder than your accomplishments. And that's what death teaches you. That urgency is not panic, it is presence. It is the fierce devotion to showing up, to not waiting, to not sleepwalking through the only life you've been given. So wake up now, not just physically. Wake up emotionally, wake up spiritually, wake up to the miracle that you exist at all, because you were born with breath in your lungs and power in your bones, for a reason, not to coast, not to conform, but to create, to build something that only you can build, to write a story that only you can write, to leave behind a legacy not of perfection, but of passion, of presence, of purpose. What I wish I knew at 20 is that legacy is not something you build at the end. It's something you build every day, with every choice, every thought, every conversation. Legacy isn't reserved for the famous. It's carved by the consistent. It's the ripple you create when you choose integrity over approval, when you lift others as you climb, when you dare to live so fully that others feel permission to do the same. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more truth. It doesn't need more followers. It needs more leaders, real ones. And leadership begins the moment you stop performing and start aligning. When your values, your words, and your actions walk in the same direction with unshakable conviction. What I wish I knew is that purpose is not something you find in a book, a course, or a paycheck. Purpose is not a job title. It is the fire beneath your decisions. It is the reason you say yes to some things and no to others. It is the force that turns struggle into meaning and time into legacy. You don't find purpose. You build it. Brick by brick, by living with intention, by waking up and deciding that your time will not be spent. It will be invested. So invest it in something that lasts, not in status, not in shallow approval, but in the unseen, in the seeds you plant in others, in the courage you show when it would be easier to hide, in the small choices that compound into a life that matters. What I wish I knew at 20 is that discipline is love in action, love for your future self, love for your vision, love for the impact you're called to make. Discipline is not punishment. It is devotion. Devotion to something bigger than comfort. Devotion to a version of you that only shows up when you commit long enough to meet them. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you're telling your future self they're not worth it today. And every time you follow through, even when it's hard, you're proving that your word has weight, that your actions have spine, that you are not ruled by emotion, but led by purpose. What I wish I knew is that the world does not owe you understanding. Not everyone will get it. Not everyone will clap. And that's okay, because applause isn't a sign you're on the right path. Silence often is. Resistance often is. The friction you feel isn't a stop sign. It's confirmation that you are building a life that is real, that you are stepping outside the lines others are too afraid to cross. Keep going, even when they mock you, even when they doubt you, even when they whisper behind your back, because what they don't understand is this: you are not driven by praise. You are driven by purpose, and purpose doesn't flinch in the face of criticism. It deepens, it sharpens, it digs in its heels and says, "This is the path. I will not be moved." What I wish I knew at 20 is that failure is not personal. It is mechanical. It is the data you need to rise. It is the tuition you pay for mastery. Most people fear failure like it's a death sentence. But failure is not the end. It's the invitation, the doorway. The moment the universe asks, "Are you serious about this or not?" and how you answer matters. Because most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack the endurance to stay through the storm. They built paper dreams, then ran when the fire came. But you must build with stone, with steel, with sweat. You must build so deep that no amount of wind can shake your roots, and that begins by falling in love with the process. Not just the result, the dirt, the grind, the hours no one sees, the battles no one applauds, because that's where greatness is forged, not in the spotlight, but in the silence. What I wish I knew is that gratitude is power, not in a soft, surface-level way, but in the deepest, fiercest, most grounding way. Gratitude is what centers you when chaos tries to shake you. It's what steadies your hand. When the pressure is loud, it's what expands your mind. When scarcity tries to shrink your thinking, gratitude is not just about being thankful for what you have. It's about recognizing that you are already equipped, that you are not starting from lack, but from abundance. You have breath, you have choice, you have a mind that can think, a heart that can love, and a soul that can build. That's enough to change everything. That's enough to begin. That's enough to become. So don't wait. Don't wait until you're older. Don't wait until it's safe. Don't wait until someone tells you now is the time. The time is now. You are here. You are alive. You are ready. Even if you don't feel it yet. Because what I wish I knew at 20 is that no one ever really feels ready. You just leap and build your wings on the way down. And trust that if you dare to leap far enough and build long enough and believe hard enough, you will fly. And when you fly, it won't look like the movies. There won't be fireworks. No soundtrack will play. No crowds will cheer. It'll look like 4 a.m., like missed calls and ignored texts, like long walks with heavy thoughts and silent battles no one ever hears about. It will look like discipline over distraction, like faith in the absence of proof, like doing the right thing when it costs you, and building when you could be blaming. But then one day, quietly without warning, the world will start to bend around the weight of your consistency. Opportunities will appear that didn't exist before. Doors will open where there were only walls, and people will look at you like you're lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. You earned it. With sweat, with pain, with relentless repetition. What I wish I knew is that success doesn't come all at once. It comes in fragments. It comes in tiny wins, stacked on top of each other. It comes in the days you chose growth over ego, in the nights you resisted quitting by one more breath. It comes in the invisible moments when no one's watching, and you still give your all. It's not about going viral. It's about going vital, becoming vital to your mission, so essential to your craft that nothing, not failure, not fear, not fatigue, can pull you away from it. Because this world will test you. It will poke at every insecurity. It will challenge every belief. It will hand you shortcuts, dressed as blessings, and hope you abandon your integrity to take them. But don't. Don't sell your soul for speed. Don't trade your authenticity for applause. Don't compromise what's eternal for what's immediate. Play the long game. Build what lasts. Love what's real. And stand for something that shakes the ground when you speak it. What I wish I knew at 20 is that no external achievement will ever replace internal peace. The car, the job, the money, the titles, they fade. They impress the world, but never fulfill the soul. Because your soul doesn't speak in currency. It speaks in contribution, in love, in truth, in legacy. And if you do not align your outer world with your inner compass, you will always feel split. Successful on paper, but starving in spirit. So build from the inside out. Build from stillness. Build from truth. Because when your success is a reflection of your soul, you don't have to perform. You just live. And that is freedom. What I wish I knew is that your life will not be defined by the moments when everything went right, but by how you showed up when everything went wrong. Your strength will be measured not by your power, but by your presence, not by your victories, but by your values. So decide today, who will you be when it's hard? Who will you be when no one is watching? Who will you be when there's nothing left to prove, but everything left to give? Become that person, relentlessly, boldly, daily, because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more clarity. It needs more people who live aligned, who speak with fire and move with purpose. It needs more you, not the filtered version, not the polished version, but the raw, real, fully alive version. The one who dares to dream, who dares to build, who dares to lead. What I wish I knew at 20 is that your life is your message. Every decision writes a line. Every action speaks a truth. Every moment adds a page. And one day when it's all over, and you look back at the book you've written, may you be able to say with full conviction, "This was me. I didn't play small. I didn't live quiet. I didn't die with my dreams still inside me. I lived wide awake. I burned with purpose. I gave it everything. And that is enough. That is what I wish I knew at 20, and what I hope you carry for the rest of your life. And even after everything, after the battles, the triumphs, the silence, the applause, there's one more truth I wish I had known sooner. That love is the greatest force you will ever wield. Not just romantic love, but love for your craft, love for people, love for the process, love for the world you're shaping. Because when love fuels your decisions, you stop chasing validation. You start creating from fullness instead of fear. You stop looking for proof that you matter and start pouring your energy into work that proves it by its very existence. At 20, I thought love was something you fell into, but what I've learned is that love is something you rise with, something you commit to every day. When the feelings fade, when the excitement is gone, when it's just you and the mountain, again, you climb anyway. You show up anyway. Because love is not about ease. It's about depth and deep love, real love. Whether for a person, a mission, or a calling, it sharpens you, it elevates you, it demands your highest version every single day. So love fiercely, love boldly, love inconveniently. Let it be seen in your choices. Let it be felt in your presence. Let it echo in the way you show up for yourself and others, even when you're tired, even when it's thankless. Because one day, that love will be the thing that kept you going. When logic said quit, it will be the reason people remember you. Not for what you built, but for how you made them feel. And what I wish I knew at 20 is that people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Never. So ask yourself this: when people leave your presence, do they feel lighter, braver, more seen? Because that's the legacy no trophy can touch. That's the wealth no bank can hold. That's the success no algorithm can measure. And speaking of wealth, what I wish I knew at 20 is that real wealth has almost nothing to do with money. Wealth is the freedom to choose how you spend your time. It's waking up without dread in your chest. It's the ability to say no to things that don't align. It's owning your mornings. It's loving your evenings. It's being at peace in your own mind. Yes, make money. Earn it honestly. Multiply it wisely. But don't worship it. Don't tie your identity to it. Don't chase numbers at the expense of joy. Because money without fulfillment is just a shinier form of misery. And you weren't born to count digits. You were born to create impact. Impact doesn't require 1 billion followers. It requires courage. The courage to be kind. The courage to speak truth in a world that rewards silence. The courage to say I love you first. The courage to say I was wrong. The courage to show up with your whole heart. That's wealth. That's success. That's rare. So don't just become rich. Become rare. Rare in your discipline. Rare in your depth. Rare in your generosity. Rare in your integrity. Rare in your ability to stay soft in a world that demands hardness. Because the world doesn't just need strength. It needs softness wrapped in strength. Fierceness paired with grace. Conviction anchored in humility. What I wish I knew at 20 is that the older you get, the more you realize success is peace. Success is alignment. Success is being able to look in the mirror at night and feel proud of how you showed up. Not perfect, not polished, but honest. Did you try? Did you love? Did you listen to the whisper of your own soul, even when it went against the crowd? Because that's the kind of success that lasts. That doesn't burn out when the market shifts. That doesn't disappear when the likes stop rolling in. That doesn't vanish when a job title changes. It lives in you. It is you, and you are more than enough to carry it. You are more than capable of building a life so vivid, so real, so uncompromisingly true to who you are, that even your future self looks back and says, "Damn, we really did that." You don't need a roadmap. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need perfect timing. You just need to decide, right now, that this life is yours. No more waiting. No more apologizing. No more playing small. It's time.